love serving the people of Cullman County. I began to work in the office in 1987. I worked under 3 different administrations. I learned every job in there and learned to do each one of them well. I've also worked with 3 different administrations, and I can take the good out of each one of those and move the office forward. I love helping the people of Cullman County. You have to love serving people in order to be a public servant. There are things in the office that I want to improve on. And there's different avenues that I'm going to take in areas of the office that I think would better serve the people of Cullman County. I do think that Cullman County is a great county. I was born here. I'm a lifelong resident of Cullman. My parents are Talmadge Buck Hudson. My roots are here. I've committed to this community and to the people here, and I want to offer good service and be a great probate judge. Thank you.
Brian, my desire to serve as Cullman County probate judge really didn't start as wanting to be the judge. It started a long time ago from values that I was taught by my parents. From a very young age, my parents taught me that it was important for me that I had a responsibility to go to school, to work hard, and to leave the world better than when I found it. At a very young age, I was involved in an accident, and it changed my perspective about life. At that point, I came to wonder if I was going to be able to do anything that would benefit the world in any way. I found that I had physical limitations that might prevent me from doing that. But relying on what my parents taught me, I proceeded to go on to school and to work hard, and that led me to a career in social work. And through that, I came to understand that there were many vulnerable people in the world. And I think it was through my own weakness that I learned that somebody had to look out for those that couldn't stand up and look out for themselves. So as my time progressed as a social worker, I worked for 12 years in the healthcare setting, and 10 of those at Cullman Regional. And I was the hospital's representative at the probate office. So I served as guardian and conservator of the person that provided the information to the court. And then is when I identified that the role of the probate judge is one that I could be beneficial. My training, my background, and my real life experience, I think, made me naturally attuned to what the probate judge does. So over the last 6 years, I've provided good service. The mentally ill are some of our most vulnerable segments of the population. At the point when a mentally ill person is unable to make good decisions for his or her life, when he or she becomes a danger to himself or others as a result of the mental illness, any family member or interested party has the opportunity to file a petition with probate court seeking involuntary treatment. It is the responsibility of the probate judge to evaluate each one of those situations on an individual basis and to look at the situation the patient is in or the individual is in and make a determination if they're truly a danger to themselves or others. Because if you force someone to be evaluated, that individual is essentially losing his or her civil rights. So you have to weigh those decisions very carefully. They have to truly be an immediate danger to themselves or others. After the probate judge has the authority to issue an order for an emergency evaluation. Once that evaluation is complete, the judge can then decide that the person is in need of inpatient treatment. So involuntary commitment involves perhaps an inpatient treatment order, or on some occasions, the person is maybe not in need of the most restrictive environment, which is inpatient treatment. Sometimes outpatient treatment is also an option. So the probate judge has the authority to force someone to go to outpatient treatment and comply with medication regimen recommended by the doctor. Thank you.
As chief clerk in the probate office, under different administrations, I have been involved in the commitment process. It is true that when you do file a petition, you take a person's rights away from them, and you want to do the least restrictive means for that person. Inpatient commitment has been determined by several people that has done the evaluation that they feel like they need to go for further, longer treatment. Outpatient can be done here locally, maybe with follow-up, making sure that patient or person is complying with what they have been ordered to do. Staying on top of those commitment hearings is very important. Mental illness is something that affects or can affect anyone's family. No one's family is not, or no one's family may ever know what it's like to have someone mentally ill. But no one is against that either. It can happen to anyone in anybody's family. And when you have that person that comes in, you have to care for that person, think about that person, think about the community. So the inpatient is the longer treatment. The inpatient is the shorter treatment here locally. The outpatient is the longer treatment to a hospital to try to get them help, get them maybe back on their medication, back in routine, so they can become part of the society and live here. That's just as important for them as it is for each one of us. The dedication and devotion and fairness to the office that I have proven over the years is something that I'm proud of. I'm proud of my 20+ years experience in the probate office. One of the difficult things is the commitment process, taking a person's rights away and ordering them somewhere that they may not want to be, and then them maybe being aggravated at a family member because of it. Then you have to consider the family member, the person who signed that petition. You have to consider them. Yes, your thoughts are for that person that's been committed, but you have to deal with all the aspects. Making decisions on any estate in the probate office can change the lives of families forever. I have the knowledge and the skills in that office to make those tough decisions based on the merits of the law and the well-being of all parties involved. I have proven that. I have done that. I have been in the capacities of chief clerk. I have been in the commitment hearings. I have done that work. And I'm proud of that. And I think the difficulty in a decision needs to come based on the merits of the law. But, you know, sometimes there's things that you can't learn from a textbook. And that's what I feel like is important. Sometimes things that comes from the heart is what's important, especially to our community. Cullman County is a big-hearted community. We are good people here that support each other, and I think that's important. Thank you.
The most difficult aspect of serving as Cullman County's probate judge is probably just the nature of the role. It is a 24-hour-a-day job. Let me tell you, when you leave the office, you continue to be the probate judge. Doesn't matter where you are or what you're doing, you are the judge. During my administration, it's possibly part of it has come from the advances in technology. I have taken the office from being an 8 to 4:30 office to being a probate judge that's available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I always have my cell phone with me. I designated myself to be on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I answer calls from the Sheriff's Department, the Police Department, both hospitals that we have in Cullman, as well as the nursing homes. I issue emergency pickup orders, commitment orders, and all of that can be done after hours and is necessary. The needs of the people of Cullman don't end at 4:30. Also, I have signed emergency guardianship and conservatorship orders after hours as it is necessary. You have to strive to meet the needs of the people. The skills that make me most able to do this include my experience as a social worker. As a social worker at Cullman Regional, I was on call. Whenever I was off work, I was on call. My husband's nodding his head. We never went to a University of Alabama football game that I didn't get a phone call on the way there or even actually sitting in the stadium with some patient need. It was just odd every time there was a game. That's when the beeper went off. Then it was beepers, now it's cell phones. So my experience doing that, I'm accustomed to it, and I'm readily and ably equipped to respond to those needs. Thank you. Alabama law entrusts the probate judge with being responsible for those types of needs that exist in each individual community. Obviously, it makes sense for those things to be handled on a local basis. Alabama law says that it's my responsibility, and yes, it provides me with the authority and the power to handle those needs. So, yes, I do feel that through the law we're adequately equipped. Also, the law designates who the transporting body is to be, which is always the Sheriff's Department. It designates the specific population. It has to be an adult, 19 years old or older. There are very many things, very many specific things that are outlined in the law with regard to commitments, limitations. For example, you cannot commit someone for substance abuse treatment. It's very specific and very detailed, and yes, I do feel capable of handling those things. Would you repeat the last part of the question, please?
The last part of it was, do you feel like the powers of the judge or the office are firm enough to protect the community from any dangerous situations?
Yes, and that is not only am I responsible for protecting the individual from harming his or herself, but also himself or herself, but also I'm protecting the community from actions that might come as a result of someone that's unstable. When you review and you look back in the history, back during the times when the tuberculosis outbreak happened, it was the probate judge's responsibility to commit people to sanitariums for tuberculosis. So the probate judge's office has a long and storied history of handling social aspects such as mental illness or other type of illness and the protection of the public and the individual. So yes, thank you.
I have, under Alabama law, chief clerk can't hear commitment hearing, but I have been involved in those commitment cases. Over years, my 20 plus years in the office, I have been involved in them. I think the patient's rights are protected. I do think that the court itself needs to follow up closely with anyone that has been committed, making sure of their progress, making sure of what's going on there. I do think that the mental illness is just, when you take a person's rights away from them and you place them in a facility that first of all, they probably don't want to be in, or second, that in a lot of instances they're not aware that they're in, then you are taking the rights. I do believe that the follow-up is the main thing, to check on their progress, to make sure that they're released back to the community. They are able to function and to go on with their lives. They're people just like we are. Any of us could face a family member or a challenge for someone that has a mental illness. That's not above any of us. I do believe that the patient's rights are taken care of in the probate office. And I'm sorry, my thoughts are going there, so could you repeat the second part of the question?
Yeah, the second part was, are you satisfied that the powers of that office are intact enough to protect the community from potentially dangerous situations?
I am satisfied with the powers that the probate office has in regard to the commitments. There again, I stress the fact and I stress it strongly, you know, working with the different administrations, seeing the different ways they were handled, I will continue to follow up with that. I guess that was my beeper I talked to. The probate judge is the elected official. They have the responsibility of seeing that the jobs get done. They have the responsibility of seeing who they place in positions of authority to carry out those duties. It is a huge responsibility. There is the licensing responsibility. There is the recording department responsibility. The probate judge is the head election official and the official record keeper of this county. All those entail, and then to top it off, exactly what we're here for today, the election process. I believe that as the probate judge, you need to be there to make sure those jobs and responsibilities and duties are carried out completely, to check on each individual department, each employee. You know, I have done the work, you know, of the employees. I have done the work. I have done every job in there. When I started there in 1987, I was put on the driver's license and I moved my way up. So I can do the job of the employees as well as make a decision that the probate judge can make. Even bookkeeping, which, by the way, if y'all need a bookkeeper, please don't call me or hire me because it's not one of my specialty, but I've done that job. I've done it and I've carried it out. And just the responsibility there is huge, and it tells the probate judge, you work with so many different departments in this county, the sheriff's office, not all the time, sometimes the city police department, the mental health departments, and other departments from the office. You need to establish and have a good working relationship with all those departments. Thank you.
When thinking about the role of the probate judge and all the aspects of the probate office is responsible for, there's an administrative side and there's a court side. On the administrative side, it's primarily clerical. My office sells hunting license, fishing license, boat license, marriage license, we renew driver's license, we have a recording department. If I don't watch and make sure that everything in the recording department is managed well, then not one house loan closes. The recording department is responsible for all of the records going back. When your attorney tells you you've got to have a 40-year title search, it's the probate office that's got to be up to speed. So that side, when you think about everything that depends on those records, if it's not maintained properly, the county can come to a grinding halt, all the business. So the clerical side is just as important as the administrative side, but it's unique in that only the probate judge is responsible for the court side. I'm the only candidate in this race with actual experience serving as Cullman County's probate judge. It's the probate judge that hears contested hearings. It's the probate judge that makes the difficult decisions. Every decision you make has an impact on an individual or a family. In estates, sometimes it's very sad when you see these folks come together that, you know, they're family members, but they're arguing over material items. And the decision I make can have a profound effect on that family from this point forward. So the judge is responsible for the administration of the entire office, and I'm the only person in this race that has true experience serving as the judge. Thank you.